Hello and welcome back to another week of Sambo iRacing. We're back in the Porsche 911, the GT3, this time at Suzuka for yet another track guide. Now, it's been going for nearly 2 weeks. We've got 35 members. If you do want to join our Patreon, you have access to all the setups that we produce, including the ones for the GT3s, GT4s, LMP3s, and a host of other things. It's Gianni Lutzu behind the wheel. If you haven't heard who he is, he's a real-life racing driver, full-time driver coach. He's the guy that got me from 1200 to 5.5k iRating. There's also a link in the description for his website should you need some coaching. I fully recommend it. Anyway, enough of that, and let's start the hot lap. Here we are, smashing it down the main straight, looking for our entry and braking marker into turn 1, which is going to be this 50 board coming up on the left-hand side. Now, it's important not to brake too hard, briefly up to about 50%, but it's a long trail off. Going to have to get used to that left foot being in contact with the brake for a long time there, but not hard. Over to the right-hand side, now we're just doing a lift through the first S, tiny dab on the brake for the second, just resting the foot on there. Now a lift once more, back over. And again, we're only on the brakes at about 5%. Hold it for a long time, up to third gear. I'm going to try and get through this next corner with just a lift. It's going to send you out wide. Head back over to the left-hand side as we come up to turn 8, 50 mark. 45% brake on the gas. Now we're braking up to about 55% for 9. Head over to the right side once we get halfway along this curbing on the right side. We get on the brakes up to about 60%, long trail off in the hairpin, back on the gas in first gear, and as you can see, it's progressive overload there. He doesn't just smash his foot down on it. Basically, anytime you've got big steering wheel lock on, you don't want to just be hammering it. Entrance road on the right hand side, brake up to about 55%, down to third gear, back on the gas, but then we're straight on the brakes, but not very hard. And when John is braking like that up to 5-6%, he's not actually trying to slow the car down. He's just trying to ensure that the weight is over the front tyres so that he can actually make the corner. Now just a small lift as we go through 14. Back over to the left-hand side at the 100 mark. Brake up to about 80%. Wipe it all the way down to second gear. Back on the gas. Doesn't get up to full. Big lift. And back on the gas once again. Hug it round to the right-hand side, and over and across the line he goes in a... what was it? A 156.9. Right, we've got the breakdown lap. Okay, breakdown lap. So, first braking marker. This 50 board on the left-hand side. So, as you can see, it's just started to touch the brake now. He initially goes up to 50%, but then it's just going to be a long trail off. You're going to get out over to the left-hand side just so that you can cut back in, and we start picking back up on the gas perfectly here at the apex. I'm going to head over to the right-hand side, and we're going to start our turn in roughly where we are now, and it's just a lift, and then, but it's not a full lift, and then he goes back. A little dab of gas, as you can see, and he goes up to about 20%, 25%, and now he's just resting his foot on the brake. And as I say, it's not to slow the car down, it's just to make sure that the weight is still sat over the front wheel so that he can make this turn. Now we go back on the gas, he gets up to full, but as soon as he gets up to full, big lift again, and again, he's just resting that left foot on the brake, and now we start picking back up on the gas. And now, once we're trying to make the next corner, again, just up to 12% on the brakes there, but he holds it all the way until here, and this is when he starts picking back up on the gas. Head over to the right-hand side, but we are going to have to do a lift to get through turn 7. It goes briefly down to 25% and then starts pulling it back up. And if he'd gone any earlier, he'd have ended up with an off-track out here on the right-hand side. Right, we're coming up to turn 8. We're going to use this 50 board as the marker, so it's midway between the 100 and the 50, but basically going to be on the brakes at the maximum as we go through the 50, as you see. He brakes briefly up to 45, 50%, trails it off down to this apex, and you can see as soon as he's hitting the apex, there we go, he's already up to 20% gas. It's going to send you out wide, and as soon as we're back on this curbing on the left-hand side, he's on the brakes, and this time very slightly harder in the Porsche, about 55%. Trail it off down to second gear, picking back up on the gas at the apex. Isn't this exciting? Right, over to the right-hand side. We're going to stop braking once we get up to this curb. So we're nearly on there, and now we're on the curb, and he brakes up to, how far? Yeah, 65%. And he holds it, and now he releases the brake, or slowly trails it off as he wants to make the corner, gets back on the gas at the apex. And guys, if you've not tried the setups now, you really should. We're now up to 35 members on the Patreon, and so far all the feedback's been really, really good. Next braking marker is going to be this entrance road on the right-hand side. So as you see, as we just go past it now, it's on the brakes up to about 55%. Going to trail it off down to this first apex. Oh, in fact, he trails it off all the way down to the exit curbing. Gives it a little dab of gas, as you can see, and now we're back on the brakes, only holding it around 5-10%. And now we start picking back up on the gas once we can see the exit of the corner. So Johnny's times are 56.9. If you're trying to beat mine, I did a 57.6. Because Johnny's faster. Right, at the 50, we're going to start our turn in. Now we're going to do a lift briefly up to about 50 or down to 50%. Look how much he's cutting this corner. And even with the corner cut, he still exits onto the curbs. Head over to the left-hand side. We're going to start braking just before the 100 board on the left-hand side. And holds it at around 80%. And now trails it off down to second gear. Gets back on the gas in between the two, but not up to full. He only hit 60% briefly and then immediately lifts. Back on the gas. Hooks it round. Right, we've got one final version coming up next with the driving line on without me talking. Enjoy.